Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And with that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time. All right, thank y'all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
Yo, it's your boy Nello Fernando.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us.
Nice to be here, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, why don't you tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, what you do. Give us that Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
Okay, for sure. So I am that guy, Nello Fernando. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, South Side, born and raised. And what was the last one?
Just a little bit about where, what you do.
I'm a hip hop artist. I draw, I write, all the things.
Okay. And what brought you out here from over there?
So I left Chicago when I was 18.
Mm-hmm.
I moved out into Arizona, moved from Arizona to Las Vegas. From Las Vegas back to Arizona, and then from Arizona up to Seattle.
Okay, so you've been everywhere.
Dude. A lot of travel miles, unfortunately.
I can imagine.
I moved in the worst part of time too.
Oh yeah. I imagine some of that happened probably right during COVID.
Not during COVID. When I moved up to Seattle, I moved up. I want to say 2019.
Oh, so you were just barely getting settled.
Yeah, it was like the heat transition to the cold too, and I moved in the middle of winter, dude, and it sucked.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough.
It's a hell of a transition for sure. And then I moved out here. I got a year of being out here before COVID happened, and then COVID happened and kind of shut everything down.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
But now at least you've been here for a little while.
Yeah, 4 years now. 4 years.
Hell yeah. And what got you into music initially?
So what got me into music initially? Me and my cousin Prince Privacy, we used to always have these beat circles back in the day. We'll sit in the classroom or be in the lunchroom, and he'll just be drumming on the tables and doing his things with the pencils and stuff like that. And then it transitioned over to being at home, and then my cousins, they had this family hip hop group that they put together, and I wanted to be a part of. And my cousin kind of guided me into rapping and stuff like that. At first, it was going over remixes or sitting down with him at this time when we was in school. We had the MacBooks, had the big bubble bag.
Oh yeah, the iMacs,
the different colors and stuff like that. So he'll make beats on GarageBand. First time ever using GarageBand.
Shout out to GarageBand.
They've been around for my whole music career, and I have definitely ran back into them so many times. But yeah, he got me into music and stuff like that, and yeah, I've just been carrying it ever since.
Hell yeah, that's rad.
Yeah.
And I know you said your cousins and stuff were doing it. Was anybody else in your household or your extended family more into music as well?
So all of my family, especially on my mom's side, we are all artists. My uncles, they had a group called Lay It Down Entertainment. My uncle Timmy G used to rap with Kanye West back in the day.
Oh, damn.
Part of this group called the Go Getters. So yeah, I always had like a lineage.
Yeah, you've always had it around you. Yeah. Hell yeah.
And then my dad and my mom. My dad was a Tupac fan, and my mom was a Biggie fan. And
Gotcha.
they met together on the Outkast albums and stuff like that. So I've always had like a very well-versed hip-hop background.
Yeah, very much
like
so.
Neo soul and all of that. So yeah.
Hell yeah, that's rad. And before we get into more of what you're doing in the present day, I do have a couple foundation questions I check in with everybody on.
Cool.
The first one is one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
I wish my dad was here, man. My first album was Ludacris Red Light District.
Okay. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Quality album.
I love that album. Used to fucking put that on in my Xbox and just let it ride in the loop while playing a snowboarding game. So, yeah.
Hell yeah. And then what was one of the first live shows you ever went to that was like specifically one you wanted to go to? So like you saw it was happening, got tickets, went to it.
I haven't been to a live show that I wanted to be. My first live show, though, however, was a Bow Wow concert.
Okay. Was it when he was still a little Bow Wow?
It was still a little Bow Wow. Yeah. They was handing out like Bow Wow chains in the fucking stands and shit. So I have my Bow Wow chain, you know what I mean? And my cousin, she's just like freaking out. Got like the what is it called? The star power, you know what I mean? And yeah, that was a terrible night for me.
I could see that being an interesting show for sure. I guess what was one of the coolest shows you've ever been to?
One of the coolest shows that I have ever been to was more of a local show. I think, yeah, it was a local show. It was during the pandemic, and it was when me, the homie Egypt, and the homie Fortress kind of like had our first link up in person.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so that was like a legendary moment for me.
Oh yeah, that's rad.
Yeah.
All right, and then before we officially get into now, do you have a defining moment where you decided you wanted to take music more seriously?
I think, yeah, I do. As many times as I got murdered on a track by my cousin, he kind of like pushed me to be better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I started really taking my pen more seriously and really just started getting into the motion of like practicing my craft every day. We always like really fought to be better than each other, and not in a way that's like it's taking from each other's talent. Like we're still making music together.
Yeah, friendly competition.
Yeah, we just had that friendly competition. Like he always kept me on it, and yeah, he really actually. Him and a couple of other people kind of molded me into the artist that I am now.
Oh yeah, that's rad.
Yeah.
Well, now let's go ahead and let's get on into you in the present day.
Nice.
We are going to get a super easy one out of the way.
Okay.
How'd you pick the name?
The name came from, Nello, so my real name is Darnell. My auntie name, we call her Auntie Nell. So I'm like, all right, how can I make this work? And I'm just thinking and I'm trying to put different names together. I went through a bunch of names. My first artist name was Mr. Amazing.
Okay.
I don't like to tell people this.
Well, now it's on the internet, so I don't know what to tell you.
My second artist name was Lil Wody. My third artist name was just Nello. And then I went into Nello Mojo Dope and different variations of Nello, you know what I mean? Trying to really figure out what stuck. And then for some reason, I just went on Google and started typing up names and meanings behind names and stuff like that. And my last name is Ford. Well, was Ford. So yeah, I tried to come up something with an F. and Fernando just kind of stuck out to me.
Yeah.
The meaning behind the word was loyalty, so I just ran with it.
Hell yeah.
Nello Fernando.
No, I dig that. It's got like an uncomfortably good ring to it. You know what I mean? You're like, if you had been like, that's my name, I would have 100% believed you. Like, zero doubt in my mind. I would have been like, oh yeah, of course it's not. Like, yeah, like that sounds just like a regular name.
Yeah, and so it made so much sense for me at the time.
Well, it's like it's comfortable, and it's like it's cool because it's got, especially Fernando, it's got a good amount of letters in it.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's like a little tiny name on things, but it's still easy to remember. It's phonetic, and the Nello Fernando, like the O's on the end, just sits good.
It worked out. And another thing, I was looking for something that was easy to put into my raps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if I'm writing down something, I'm penning something crazy, I wanted to, like, just because, you know what I mean? Some people like to refer to themselves as third party. But, you know, Fernando, it just worked out well.
Well, it already rhymes, so it's like it's going to work by default. I dig that. But now let's go ahead and let's talk about your writing process.
Coolly.
And we're going to break it up into chunks, but we're going to start right at the beginning.
Okay.
So when you get inspired, you're ready to make music. What are some of the things you do to get a track started?
I go through multiple beats.
Okay.
I just go on an endless scroll until it's something that's like undeniable to me. And I'm usually toking, you know what I mean? Got a beer or something like that, just chill in like my creative space, just relaxing and stuff like that, playing beats. And when that one beat comes on, you know what I mean, I just kind of get right to it. So yeah, I start out with my verse. Verses always come first.
Okay.
And then I go into my hooks for sure.
Gotcha. And when you're picking out beats, do you go like the internet route? Do you have like a folder of them? Do you have somebody who like makes them for you?
I go the internet route.
Okay.
Until I'm able to find producers that I feel like I can really sit with, and you know what I mean? I like to be present in the space, and we're just bouncing off of each other. It's energy type of deal. So,
I get that. And then when it comes to, your verses and your bars and such, do you, are you pen to paper? Do you freestyle? How do you go about putting the words together?
I'm usually pen to paper, but the modern version of it. So pen to paper, definitely. I definitely caught myself freestyling a couple of bars and then, trying to, pin it down, then like freestyle some more, pin it down type of deal. And I've definitely went in a studio and just be like, I'm gonna just freestyle a couple of bars and then freestyle a couple of more bars.
Yeah, hell yeah. No, I dig that. And I mean, there's, at the end of the day, there's really no wrong way to approach it. And even more with the modern day of you can just record you so often, punching in is almost the new like pen to paper / freestyling at a certain degree. And then once you get a track finished writing, so it doesn't have to be like recorded and released, but like once you gotten it to where you can start going over it, how long does it usually take you to feel comfortable enough to perform a track?
Usually after I write a song, if I feel that song's the one, I'm pretty much practicing that song for the rest of the night. Okay. Unless I got like, I'm a pretty proficient writer.
Yeah.
Things kind of come to me. It has to be like a time though. You know what I mean? I have to be in that mode of writing, and then it just naturally flows. But usually do like, honestly, when I write and I feel that is like a dope verse, I'm like, let me practice this. Let me make sure it's sharpened up and I'm ready to go as soon as I hit the studio.
Hell yeah, that's rad. Yeah. And then let's go ahead and let's talk about some of your music. So I jumped on, Yield, Spotify, and it looks like your music on there goes back to 2019. So you've been doing it for a little bit now, for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've got stuff that was even way before that that's probably not on there.
Yeah.
But I rarely ever bring up the first, because I listen to everything. I listen to all of it. I always try to listen to everybody's everything. So I went back to the very first track all the way to the most recent one. And I have to say, Super Coolin' was hype.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
there was something about it where I was just like, this is how we're starting? Okay. But more from a wider view, your sound has been very consistent. Like, since that point up to now, like, it's actually kind of a cool way to experience your music because your sound stays somewhat linear, but at the same time, like, the beat choice gets a lot stronger. The way that it's presented gets a lot stronger. And your ability to kind of adapt to each beat but keep your style and your sound is actually really enjoyable because now it's like moving forward, I know your sound, you know what I mean? Like I can hear you on anything and be like, I know exactly who this is.
Appreciate that.
And that familiarity I think goes a long way.
Yeah.
But I was checking out your most recent track, 734 in Las Vegas, and I have to ask, is that AM or PM?
I never really came up with that. Like 734 in Las Vegas, it really just represent like the numbers, right? So 7 is my number, 3 is my homie's Egypt's number, and 4 is the homie Fortress's number.
Gotcha.
So 734 in Las Vegas more or less represented just me wanting to put us in that place and me envisioning us in that place to kind of like bring the full squad together.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? 'Cause it's more trip homies that's out in Vegas, trip homies that's in Chicago, trip homies that's in Arizona. So I wanted that to be the place where we all kind of met up and had that, you know, that link, that bridging the gap. You know what I mean?
No, I gotcha.
So yeah. AM or PM, you can choose when you want to rock out, man.
Hey, yeah, I dig that. I was just curious if there was one, but I figured if there wasn't, there had to be a reason. That's a pretty solid reason. And I mean, it's a solid track. Like clearly, it's you in your element right now, and you definitely are owning it. But I do this bit where I pick out a track I liked, that I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be honest. When I was going through it, the first track I wanted to pick out was Like That.
Okay.
Because it's fun. It was like one of the first ones where I was like, oh, there's something right here. And then I kept listening and I had to change gears because your music kind of changes gears as you go through it too. You move from like these kind of like bigger energetic tracks to these more like thoughtful tracks. Like you still keep that energy, but there's like a presence in it. There's like an intention in it. And so I ended up going with Questions. And it's just a really cool track. And then I heard and I was like, oh my God, this track slaps so hard. But more, I think what was interesting is as I was listening through, instead of landing on one, I just kept appreciating your progression in your sound more and more. Like you really seem to have this style now where like the beats are big and full and like this just have this element to them, and your presence on it has also grown and is very big and full. And like I said, you have this energy that I just kept circling back to because it's cool how you can keep just this tight, consistent flow all the way through, but you can tell you're having fun. You can tell there are moments where you want to accent the songs and like make these lines stand out and like kind of break the mold for a second. So at the end of the day, I couldn't really land on one. I just kind of like your whole discography.
I appreciate that. Definitely.
Yeah. But I am curious to know. Sorry, that one went long. What are some of your favorite tracks of yours?
I would say, I got some favorite tracks that's not even on the internet. And it's due to, you know, one of our members passing and stuff like that, it hasn't been the right time yet for me to release those songs. But I would say currently, out of everything that I recently dropped, probably 734 I lost.
Okay, hell yeah.
The one that I'm talking the most shit on is Informed.
Gotcha.
I love Informed.
Yeah.
It's like that's really where I was in that moment. And you know, it was just kind of like a letting it all out type of deal.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Hell yeah. No, I dig that. Now let's go ahead and let's talk about some of your new music, stuff you're working on that's not out yet. What can we look forward to with your new sounds?
I would say a lot of different beat variations. I'm looking to accomplish just creating something that's not, I wouldn't say similar, but inspired by one of my favorite artists. And just keep pushing the envelope, keep pushing the pen to be greater, and doing more collabs and working with more artists.
Hell yeah. Well, definitely looking forward to all of that. Now let's take a moment and let's zoom out. Let's look at kind of music as a whole.
Okay.
What are some of the things about either new music, if you're one of those people who's always listening to the newest stuff, or at the very least music that's newer to you, so that you recently found that you enjoy and you're finding inspiration in at the moment?
I'm really finding more inspiration into like lyricism that's coming out from the hip hop side of things. Mick Jenkins.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
Love some Mick
Jenkins. If you want to be on the show, man, open invitation. Let's make it happen.
Definitely. I need a feature too, man, for sure. Yeah, man, just the lyricism, just the different sounds and beats and stuff like that. Different approaches to how, you know, a person comes about presenting themselves over a track. Yeah, that's pretty much it, honestly.
Hell yeah. No, this is a good time for that too. We were talking about a little off camera that I think we're in that swing right now where like the focus and presentation of lyrics are starting to come back a lot more. And I'm really looking forward to that.
Me too.
And before we officially get into the next part, this next question is probably the densest question in the interview. But we talked a lot about, you know, your experience with music, the actions, the reactions. But when it's just you and the music one-on-one, what does music give back to you?
Music gives me a lot of clarity. I started doing music as a way to release. I was heavy into the streets back in the day, you know what I mean? And I felt like music really saved me more than I can count, you know? So it really started as a way for me to express myself in a way that would save me time from reacting to things that was around me that wasn't positive for me.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was the most positive outlet at the time for me because it wasn't nothing else for me. You know what I mean? So I just always kind of ran to music as like a way of therapy. So definitely, you know, it gives me a lot more clarity, gives me room to think and to actually, you know, just think about my actions before I make them. You know? It's kind of like that thinking before you're talking. You know what I mean?
I wish I knew how to do that.
So that's what music was for me. It was like the thought before actually being able to express myself to others.
Gotcha. Now, do you find that because of that, when you have moments that are like difficult, like when you find yourself in a moment that it becomes difficult, will you instead of acting out, will you just kind of hold it in until you can get to a place where you can make music? Has it taught you to be able to assess a situation and be more relaxed now because of it? Or maybe not relaxed, but more like clear of yourself in the moment?
At the time, the way that I deal with like any conflict, I kind of just handle it because I'm in a better space now. Yeah. But I also like to you know, everybody likes to reflect on things. Yeah. So I think at this time I use my music as more of a reflection to learn from the actions that I take.
Okay. Yeah. No, I dig that. Well, thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
But now let's go ahead and we're going to move on to some hypothetical questions.
Let's do it.
These sky's the limits. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. Cool. The first one's pretty straightforward. If you could work with any one person, the only requirement is they have to be alive. Who would you want to work with, and how would you want to work with them?
Ooh. There's so many people that I want to work with, but I only really want to work with like, if I had to work with any one person, that's a hard question because there's so many different people that I want to work with.
It's not like if you choose one now that everybody else is off the table. Just think of somebody who comes to mind.
If I was to work with any one person, I'm not going to use Chicago bias with this. Okay. I'm going to go with Big Crit.
Okay. Hell yeah. That's actually a name that has not shown up a lot, but actually someone else said that recently. And I'm glad that name is showing up more often. Yeah. Like, dude is solid.
Yeah. Big Crit.
If you want to be on the show too, you're welcome on. And then subsequently, who's a local artist that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to?
Honestly, I've worked with pretty much everybody in the city locally, or not everybody, but most of the people that's usually around in the similar circles that I hang in. You know what I mean? I've kind of worked with them in one way or another, and shout out to Trey for a Deuce for that, because he facilitated that. You know what I mean?
Trey for Deuce.
Yeah,
I dig that. Then we'll go ahead and move into this next one, and like I said before, sky's the limits, but it's pretty literal in this sense.
Okay.
If you could perform anywhere in the world, you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or building stability or power. It was guaranteed the best lineup, guaranteed the best show. And it doesn't have to be a venue. In this concept, anywhere works. Where would you want to perform?
I would want to perform in front of the White House.
Okay.
Just because.
Yeah.
If we had the power to do that, why not?
Oh man, just the pics alone would be incredible.
Dude, that would be a groundbreaking moment, literally.
And it's got its own built-in lighting.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
it works
it's got the upper floodlights, it's got the colored lights on the back.
Seriously,
just make the whole place a projector screen. Like,
dude, if that was something that we could put together for real, like that would be so amazing. Because
Secret Service would get so much overtime.
Oh man,
we'd all want to work it. that would be rad for sure.
Yeah,
hell yeah. And then to wrap up the hypothetical questions.
Okay.
If you could get one more album from anybody, they could be alive, they could be dead, they could have not put out an album in 100 years, they could have put out an album yesterday. Who would you want an album from?
R.I.P. my boy Fortress Oriaki. That'll be the one.
Hell yeah.
He has a mixtape out with his homie Ray Vaughn, but I definitely wanted that solo project, and I know that he was working on it before he passed. So that would be the one for sure.
Hell yeah. All right. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up.
All right.
What can we look forward to between, let's say, now and March?
So we got a couple of shows coming up. Working real tightly with a group called ROTR, Realists on the Rise. We're going to put some things together in motion. Got more music coming out for sure. I got boatloads of music that we just been writing. You know what I mean? Going back to the pen, making sure that we stay sharpened on our tools and stuff like that. Me and the homies is putting together an EP, so that's something to look forward to.
Okay.
With some, if only you guys knew was what was in these notes, dude. Oh, a masterpiece.
Hell yeah.
But other than that, focusing more on my content, you know what I mean? Trying to stay more active in the local communities, getting out more, stuff like that, shaking a lot of more hands, kissing a lot more babies.
Hell yeah, I love it. All right, and this next one, go and look straight at the camera. Tell everybody how they can find you.
Yo, so it's me, Nello Fernando. You can follow me at everything at Nello Fernando. I'm not hard to find. Nello Fernando on Instagram, Nello Fernando on YouTube, Nello Fernando on Facebook. Anywhere that you feel like you can reach me, just type in Nello Fernando and you'll be able to find me.
Hell yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you'd like to put on while you're on here?
Shout out to the homie Egypt. Shout out to the homie Sneeze. Shout out Trip Gang. Shout out to Trey for a Deuce. Make sure y'all go check out that project, man. Exodus from Babylon 2. I'm on that project. So make sure you go check that out and just show the love. Show the love to the community. Shout out my moms. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here.
Facts. All right. With that being said, we've got one last question to go. But before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second.
Gotcha.
As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation.
Okay.
But what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side? It's a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know, but it's one you think everybody should know.
Twist the Adrenaline Rush.
Okay. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Dude, that was the hood classic. You know what I mean? It don't matter where you at in the city. Usually, sometimes in Chicago, like you can't play certain music in certain areas.
Yeah.
No matter where you are in the city, no matter where you are in the world, that adrenaline rush, it just gives you that energy that you need. And the lyricism behind it all, and different variations of cuts and stuff like that. It really is a well put together, well produced project. And Twista's just a G, man.
Twista, if you want to be on the show, you're welcome anytime.
Twista has definitely put Chicago on in many ways.
Yeah.
So was Kanye West, but Twista was definitely more in the field with it, you know what I mean? So it's definitely a lot
still
more
doing stuff today.
Yeah.
Like hasn't stopped.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's even down to like the street life. It was just a lot of relatability. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah. No, that is a super solid rack. Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right, but with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get up on out of here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Hell yeah. And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
Nello Fernando.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.